Hey up guys, S-Man here, back at it again with a brand new Horizons review. Now, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and let's just get right into the review. This episode picks up right where last week left off, with the Rising Boat Tacklers picking up leads from their fisherman friend and actually visiting the guy who saw Entei. And he also mentions that a lot of his fisherman buddies has also mentioned seeing Entei within a certain chain of islands that is nearby. So the Rising Boat Tacklers are able to narrow down a potential location for where Entei could be, with the theory that Entei is surrounding a nearby volcanic area, which was actually a really good point brought up by Threed, and it really helped bring everything together with Dot's map of where the most frequent sightings are. So they arrive on the island, do a little bit of searching around to find no Pokemon life except for a Huntail, which is random until Liko scans it on her Pokédex, and it's actually revealed that Huntail could be a sign of misfortune. So that, like, right there just sets up like an eerie atmosphere for the entire episode, which I love. This, like, the whole atmosphere of the legendary hunting and like this whole eeriness and mythicalness to, if they're able to find it, what's going on with like the world around them as they find it. It's just like the whole like vibe that's like given off, and it's also elevated because this whole fight is at night, and it made it actually low-key look beautiful. But yeah, the Rising Boat Tacklers search around the nearby area where Threed spots an underwater volcano forming. So they have the Rising Boat Tacklers ship parked as they wait for Entei to appear and the volcano to erupt, which occurs in the middle of the night, waking up every member of the Rising Boat Tacklers. So they all rush to go investigate this volcano that just shot out of the ocean and formed a brand new island, which this scene was so sick. Like, it was like actually so cool watching all the Rising Boat Tacklers on the ship watch the like, volcano go up. And then they park nearby when they finally spot Entei. They call out to Entei, asking him to rejoin Lucius's team. So that's where, but Entei isn't having any of it, keeps like cutting them off and screaming at them, and is about to start a battle. Now, I gotta say, this battle was really good. The only thing is, because they were battling Entei, I feel like they should have at least used their other Pokemon. Like, for example, there were points in this fight where Hatena could have been like the MVP, like with heals and stuff, because they were tanking like big hits, or Wattrel getting like aerial attacks off. Same thing with just Tinkatink just assisting. But of course, the Horizons crew doesn't use their secondary Pokemon. And instead, Liko goes in with a Florigato that's weak to Entei. But she actually distracts Entei a lot, actually, for Pikachu to get massive hits. Because for this battle, in my opinion, the MVP was free to Pikachu. And although they didn't really do much, and it was Roy and Crocolar. Because here's the thing, Roy and Crocolar actually like mess up a lot, but these mess ups lead up to Stomping Tantrum to get more stronger and stronger, because the more Roy makes a mistake during the battle, the more frustrated he and Crocolar get. So that leads with like the final attack being a ginormous Stomping Tantrum from Roy, with like hundreds of rocks like flying towards Entei. It was really cool to see like the build up to that. So good on you, Roy. But yeah, besides that, the MVP is Pikachu. Pikachu tanks a lot of hits, with of course support from Florigato and Quaxwell using their moves to basically water down the attacks so Pikachu can tank them. Pikachu gets like the best hits off at Entei. Besides that Stomping Tantrum, Pikachu gets a Volt Tackle, multiple Thunder Punches, and basically is like doing a lot of the work. But yeah, after Roy's Stomping Tantrum, this battle really shows off the teamwork of the Rising Boat Tacklers crew as a whole, and I really like that. But yeah, after Roy's Stomping Tantrum, Entei begins to respect the crew, so they call out to it, asking to rejoin the heroes. But none of the hero Pokemon react to it, along with Terrapagos, who's just staring at it. So this isn't Lucius's Entei, and we're gonna get back to that later. But before that, we get a really cool scene where Entei basically tells the kids, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a part of the legendary trio with Entei, Raikou, Suicune," as they all like gather around the island and just like howl, I guess. Like Threed says maybe the whole point is basically they wanted to witness the island and basically look on it as it forms in order to protect it as a new home for Pokemon. And I just gotta say, this scene was like really nice to look at. It was like really nice to look at, seeing all the legendary trio together howling, and the sun rises on the island as it happened. It's also nice seeing the legendary trio together because, as I recall, we don't get that a lot besides in openings. So yeah, the Entei lead was a bust, with this not being Lucius' actual Entei. So the Arriving Volt Tacklers are back to square one and decide to just set off until they find a new lead on where Lucius' actual Entei can be. But they don't have to wait long because they get a call from Briar, who mentions that she's actually recently heard reports of Entei spottings in Area Zero. And she also leads to a theory that it might be the ancient Entei seen in the Scarlet Book. AKA, if you know the games, that's Gouging Fire. So basically, they confirmed that Lucius did not have Entei, and it was instead Gouging Fire. And that whole flashback was misleading because it was Gouging Fire all along. If I do recall, I could be wrong, when the flashback of Lucius catching the Entei happened, it looked like it could have been in Area Zero. So it makes sense that it's actually Gouging Fire, and because at the time, they wouldn't know the difference between Gouging Fire and Entei, they just assumed it was like some weird misformed like regional Entei. But yeah, with that new lead from Briar, they go to meet her with Paldea in order to get permission to enter Area Zero, and that basically sets up next week's episode. But before that, we get one crazy reveal where we meet Amifio's father, and it is actually the head of Freed's former company, the one that was recently revealed to be a front for Gibeon in order to study Rockudon. We get this reveal, and it also seems like really tense because Amifio goes in looking for research and of where to find Rockudon and like ideas, but of course, only Gibeon is allowed to have those files. So Amifio just leaves, and I don't know, the relationship between him and father seems very strange. And when we get a knock on the door, Amifio's father does. Then after he leaves, Amifio's father does seem down. We get to knock on the door, hoping it's Amifio coming back to talk again, but it's actually Spinel who's saying, "Oh, kids, am I right?" This guy Spinel is such a troll. He basically ruined Amifio's life and is just going to his dad saying, "Oh, they're in that rebellious area." But yeah, overall, this episode was really good. It showed off like the Entei, the strength of a legendary, better than they had been in Horizons. Because you're telling me, like, how did Leroy and Threed be able to take down the Moltres? I'm never gonna forget that. Along with Roy's Fuecoco headbutting and Rayquaza, this episode legit showed the strength that a legendary can have, and it never really went down. Like, it got like a good hit, and it's like, damn, these kids actually don't play around. But this battle is useless, so let's just leave it off there. But yeah, like I said, I'll give this episode 9 out of 10. It was really nice to watch, really good to see all the kids' development, and just really good with the twist of it being Gouging Fire, because I've always wanted it to be Gouging Fire, but I was okay with it being Entei. But now that we actually have full confirmation that it's Gouging Fire, and we're about to have an Area Zero arc, I am hyped. But yeah, hope you guys like this video. Subscribe for more content like this in the future. S-Man, signing off.